So we're in chapter 4 of what? Of Basi Legani. And so I think we mentioned at the beginning that this is the Maamar, that the last Maamar that the previous Rebbe said before his Histalkus. And his Histalkus was on Yud Shvat. That's this Shabbos. So the minig is dafka of all the Chabad Hasidim to learn this Maamar, or at least a part of this Maamar, on Yud Shvat. So this is a good preparation for that, and it's a form of hiskashus, form of joining, connecting our souls with the souls of the Rebbe. I think it was the Rebbe, the Rebbe, once a chassid asked the Rebbe, how will I connect with you? I'm very far away from you. It was either the Rebbe or the Frierdiker Rebbe. And
which is which number?
The Rebbe 7.
Frierdiker Rebbe?
6.
So that's this?
Yeah.
So we're studying the Frierdiker Rebbe.
Yeah.
But they never mentioned him on the list. So, okay.
They never mention him? They call him the previous Rebbe, perhaps.
No, Yosef Yitzhak Shneusha.
That's him.
Okay, but where's the Frierdiker?
Frierdiker is the Yiddish word that means previous. Okay, we shed some light on the issue.
Thank you.
So the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe answered this chassid. We'll meet over a page of Tanya. We'll meet over a Hasidic Maamar, because when a person writes down their Torah thoughts, they're taking something of themselves and they're putting it into a book. Right? When the Alter Rebbe wrote the Tanya, so Rav Zusha of Anapoli said, or Rav Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev said, I think it was Rav Zusha. He was amazed. How could you take such a big, great God and put him in such a small book? But when you take the godly concepts and you write them down, and the person then learns those concepts, he connects with the author. When you learn Rashi, you're connecting with Rashi. When you learn Rambam, you're connecting with the Rambam. You're connecting with the scholars. You're connecting with the leaders of our people, the sages of all generations, with the Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation. So we're connecting with the Frierdiker Rebbe and connecting with the Rebbe by learning in general Maamar Chasidus, but specifically this Maamar, since it's the week before Yud Shvat, it's very appropriate that we learn this Maamar. So we said that and by the way, I just want to make a correction. I gave a story about Reuven Dunim last week. He did pass away a number of years ago. I wasn't sure. So we said that the spirit of folly is what causes is what covers over the truth and the godliness from being revealed in the godly soul, when the godly soul's in the body. Because the godly soul above, there's no obstacles to the revelation of godliness. Only down here, where there's a Yetzer Hara and there's a Sitra Achra, the side of evil, right, there are obstacles. Above there are no obstacles. Hashem created obstacles because to give us free choice and to give us challenges and to allow us to grow and to purify the world. To make this world a dwelling place for Him to reveal Himself. We do that by our avodas Hashem. So the world covers over godliness. And it covers over godliness to the point even when that the godly soul, which is in every Jew, doesn't have the power, that spirit of folly is able to hide from the person the truth to the point that the person can do an avera. Otherwise, a Jew would never do an avera. A Jew, by his nature, doesn't want to do an avera. It's not shaykh to him in there. Like the Tanya says that the taivas of heter are called Shedim Yehudahayim, Jewish demons, taivas for kosher things, right? And a Jew could have taivas for kosher things, but to have taivas for forbidden things, that's not shaykh to a Jew. It's only that because we live in a world where the godliness is hidden, and the taivas are all around us, and when we indulge ourselves in whatever taivas we indulge ourselves in, even if they're Jewish taivas, even if they're in permitted things, we're feeding the animal. We're feeding the animal soul. We're giving the animal soul that geschmack that the animal soul wants, and the animal soul, if we don't keep it under a short leash, right? The Alter Rebbe says that when a Jew indulges in permitted taivas and permitted things, not l'shem shamayim, so the sholosh klipos hatameos, the three impure klipos, forces of evil, shells of impurity that hide over godliness, they're able to draw down that Jewish taiva, that Jewish demon, into their realm. The taivas heter, permitted taivas, are called klipas noiga. It's a klipa because it's a taiva, but it has good in it. You can elevate it if you need l'shem shamayim. If you do your business and you're honest in your business, and you give stuck, you elevate the taivas. You elevate this klipas noiga. That's elevating the world. And that was a chiddush of the Alter Rebbe, that permitted acts that are not done l'shem shamayim are klipa. They are bad. They draw a Jew down into the three impure powers of evil. That was a chiddush of the Alter Rebbe. Before that, the kiddush, the sushi bar, no one had a problem with it. Right? No one had a problem with it. The Alter Rebbe came along and explained, no, there's a problem because you're feeding the animal. And when you feed the animal gets stronger and wants more. You got to keep it on a tight leash. So it's best to feed the animal, do it l'shem shamayim. That's why then you're taking the power of the animal soul and you're elevating it. And the power that the animal soul gets will be used for holiness. But just to feed the animal and just to make it stronger and not use it for holiness, it's going to, like an animal does, look for more pleasures. And when he was taken away by the Russians,
let's say that a woman...
Just remind me to tell you the story when he was taken away by the Russians, by the Tsar. Yeah.
Let's say that a woman cannot have children. She is lacking something inside. And the husband has a taiva. So they are not going to...
Taiva for what?
For sex. So they're not going to make a child. They're just making a pleasure. What about this?
Well, I would say two things. First of all, we could take another case. Let's say an older couple. They're not able to have children anymore.
Okay.
Hello. Shalom Aleichem.
Che fatto? Semplice giovane.
Tutto bene,
Oh,
tutto bene.
grazie.
Grazie mille.
אתה מכיר אותו?
No,
הוא בן אדם מיוחד.
Wasn't it bad? I don't think it was.
I didn't have children.
Isn't someone else?
Perhaps. So, an older couple.
הוא בן אדם מיוחד.
Okay. Welcome. Baruch haba. Anyone want some water? Cups?
Ken, cacao water is good, yeah. Sounds good.
Anyone else?
Romantic week?
Huh?
Romantic week? How come you're here?
To make
So,
holidays in Jerusalem,
older
to see
couple-
you, to see the people, Chabad. Many
or a
people.
Chabad. So an older couple. So let's say they had children, but now they're not able to have children anymore because she reached menopause and her cycle, her biological cycle is over that period of time. That means they have to not be intimate anymore? Of course not. They're allowed to be. That would apply the same to a couple.
But this is a time.
There's a relationship that a couple has.
Yes.
And HaKadosh Baruch Hu created man with this particular type.
You can hold to the quality of eating food.
1 second. There's a lot of types. You're bringing up one of them, a very powerful one. He created man with this particular type. And he said to man, he said to the Jewish people, that I want you to use this power to procreate. I want you to use it in the misgeret, in the framework of a marriage with chuppah and kiddushin, like last night. Rabbi Goldberg married off his daughter. Ayidei chuppah v'kiddushin. That's the bracha we say. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvaysav v'tzivanu. Right? Ayidei hitira da'arayot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu permitted to us to get married to women and to express our desire in a loving relationship. But if the relationship between the husband and wife, and this is probably perhaps why there are so many divorces and so many marital therapists and people that have such trouble in marriage, is if they put the cart before the horse, if they place the physical need before the actual loving relationship, then it can become
But this is
also brought down to the shalosh klipos at the mass. If it's not done l'shem shamayim.
This presents a point, because there is the timer, and you said that each timer is a clipper, which is not with the intent specific.
So make it with the intent specific.
Which is what in that case?
Which is what in that case? There's different levels. Okay? The level of the tzaddikim, like it says, then we're going to see in this chapter that if we actually are able to move forward in the chapter, we'll see today. Otherwise, we'll see in the next year that everything that exists down below is an expression of something of the way it exists above. So just like there are 248 limbs in a person and 365 gidim, veins, so too in the neshama. So there are 613 powers in the neshama. There are 613 mitzvahs in the soul, in the Torah. There are 613 parts to the person, and also the Sitra Achra also has 613 throughout the entire Hishtalshavus of all the worlds, since everything comes about through HaKadosh Baruch Hu's desire, and that desire is that all the world should be according to Torah. The Torah is 613. All the levels, all the worlds, throughout all the levels, until we get to the lowest world, and including this lowest world, is made up of 613 basic components. So the highest level would be to make, just like it says that there's the Yichud Zav and Malchus. Right? How does Hashem create the world? There's a Yichud in Atzilus of Zav, which is the Midas, and the Chochmah is where the seminal drop of will is expressed in wisdom, and it goes through midos, it goes through emotions, and then it joins together with Malchus and creates worlds.
So what did they come?
Malchus is feminine, Zah is masculine, and that's a marital union above. So when a tzaddik will have marital relations with his wife, he'll probably have something on the level of those kavanas, that he's creating yichudim, just like he's creating yichudim, a bonding. Let me finish. A bonding with his wife below. He's creating a bonding above. Other people that are less spiritually attuned will have the simple objective to please their wife, have a loving relationship with their wife, and this is a way of expressing that loving relationship, and that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will. And he's doing it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that there should be a loving relationship between a Jewish man and a Jewish woman.
We started.
Did I answer your question?
I'm telling you. We started everything by when you said that each title, if it is not referred to something special, it's not a pure thing, it's a clipper.
That's right.
So I made an example of relationship with men and women. But then there are many titles. So let's say I have a title of smoked salmon. I do a broker with the smoked salmon, but my title is not for the broker, it's for the smoked salmon. So this is a clip.
No. Why are you eating the smoked salmon? Why are you eating the smoked salmon? You have to eat. You have to eat foods that are not tasty. Every food that's tasty is going to be a klipa.
Have a title.
What's your intention in eating?
To go to the supermarket or wherever where you can find the smoked salmon. Or you have a time to go a football match. You have a time to go and see a soccer game.
Soccer game's a different thing. You don't have to go to see a soccer game. You have to eat.
Yeah.
If I went to the first soccer game after they were all canceled for the war, how was that not good for Israel?
What'd you say?
So they canceled some games at the beginning of the war.
Yeah.
And then they started again, and I went. I went to see the game, but how was that not good for Eretz Israel?
How was it not good for Israel?
We're spending money in Israel during the war. And also, you can go.
You could have spent the same money doing. You could have put the money to something else. I'm not judging you. I'm just taking like what they call devil's advocate.
Yeah.
You could have used that money to help the soup kitchen have more bowls of soup for the poor people too. And that's also in Israel. That's feeding people. I mean, what's the actual goal of the sport? What's the goal? What does it have to do with the avodas Hashem?
Well, it depends. What if I took an orphan?
Okay, you're doing a chesed. All right, fine. I'm not judging. Yeah. I heard once from Yigal Segal. His brother Nachum Segal runs a very famous radio show. Maybe you've heard about Nachum Segal's radio show. You have?
Yeah, in New York.
In New York, yeah. So his brother, Yigal Segal, was a very, very fine person. He told me that his father, Alav Shalom, who was a big Rav in New York, told him that the whole purpose of the American football, and this was his opinion, right? It was a good thing. He said, Baruch Hashem, there's American football, because if not, they'd be attacking Jews in the streets. Right? This is the way that they're able to get out there. You agree?
I heard Rabbi Miller say, all these sports is good because while they're watching the sport, they're not thinking about Jews. They're thinking about
They're able to get out their anger, right?
yeah, whatever.
Okay. You know what? There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. That you brought out a good point. There's no middle ground in life, right? Every moment, it's either just being.
You agree that the football game is at least par?
You keep asking me about sports. I don't know. Ask someone else. I don't know.
Well, he pointed at me. So.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I know that someone once came to the Rebbe. A boy once came to the Rebbe. The Rebbe asked him about something. I don't know. The boy mentioned baseball. So the boy played on a baseball team. Not a professional baseball. He was a young boy. So the Rebbe said to the boy, he said, tell me about the game or something like that. And I'm not remembering the story exactly how it went, but the idea of the story I'm giving over how it went. The Rebbe said, what happened in the game? So the boy said, well, we were losing, it was like 14-1. And everyone started leaving. All the fans started leaving.
Yeah.
So he said to the boy, and did you leave? He said, no. He said, why is it that the fans left, but you didn't leave? He says, because I was playing in the game. He
Yeah.
said, fans, they were just watching.
Right.
So the Rebbe said, and this is how you can take sports and elevate it. The Rebbe is able to do it. I'm not saying I'm in it. But the Rebbe said to this boy, you can learn from a baseball game, right? That there's a difference between being a spectator and a player.
Mm-hmm.
And a Jew needs to be a player, not a spectator. When it comes to Yiddishkeit, we have to be players. And a player is much more involved and much more focused. He doesn't leave. And I heard another story that another boy was playing soccer, or was in summer camp, and I don't remember again. The gist of the story is the idea that the Rebbe said. And the Rebbe said the purpose is to kick the ball. It's not just to kick the ball. Yeah, you look at it and you see there's a lot of people running back and forth and kicking the ball, but the purpose is to kick the ball in the goal.
Yep.
And we have to be focused on the goal. We have to always be taking the ball, right? Rabbi Chase Town says, step up to the plate of life. That's one of his lines he says over and over again. He uses a baseball term to say how we have to step up to the plate. We have to take personal responsibility for our lives and our actions. So I think I answered your question. There's no middle ground. Everything we do, we have to try to keep in our minds. We should do it l'shem shamayim. And if it's usher, we can't do it l'shem shamayim because it's usher. And if it's mutter, so before we have that big piece of chocolate cake, right, we have to ask ourselves, why am I having it? Why am I having it?
So why did I stay after the Kuba lesson?
Why you stay after the chupah?
It was just one plate after another coming in.
Okay, you made the simcha. By being there, you increased the simcha. Huh?
I turned down most of them.
Rabbi Moshe Miller, Olam Shalom, he was a big mashpia in Chabad. He wrote a lot of svarim. You can hear his shiurim on Chabad.org in Hasidus, but Hasidus for people that like more of a Kabbalah type of a perspective. Very interesting. Very good.
What's his name?
teacher. Moshe Miller.
Moshe Miller.
Moshe Miller. Yes. So he told me one time, he was a South African, and he told me one time, it was in the Fabrengen, and he said he was there in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and he was a young bacher, Baal Tshuva, young bacher in the yeshiva, and the mashpia was sitting and talking about iskafia. You have to use the word l'shem shamayim. Iskafia means training your animal soul to use the world for serving Hashem, not just feeding the animal.
Lahaski? That's the word?
Eat kafia with a tough, with a soft.
Kafif?
Eat kafia.
Eat kafia.
Right. Mm-hmm. Eat kafia, it's an Aramaic word.
Oh,
Eat kafia to train yourself, to do things l'shem shamayim, to do things for the sake of heaven. All your ways. That's what you don't need Hasidus to know shekol derachecha you l'shem shamayim. That's it. Chazal said shekol derachecha, all your ways they should be l'shem shamayim. It's a pasuk in Chazal. It's a Maamar Chazal, right? Then it says b'chol derachecha do'eu, in all your ways know Hashem. It's another Maamar Chazal, right? Hasidus, Chabad goes especially into training the animal soul, and that's what we're talking about a lot. So Moshe Miller's in this Hibradut, and that's what the Mashpia is talking about. He's coffee, training the animal soul. Don't indulge. Only do it l'shem shamayim. If you're not going to do it l'shem shamayim, it's clean, but don't do it. And his wife came, brought out a big cake, a big chocolate cake.
yeah, now one.
Right, exactly. And the Bachrim didn't say that. The other one, exactly. The other was thinking the same thing. He took the cake knife and he cut himself a big piece of cake and made him a zonos and passed around the cake. And one of the Bachrim said,
No.
Rabbi, where's these kafia? Where's these kafia? Which is a good question, right? The rabbi sounds maybe a little hypocritical. He's talking the talk, but not walking the walk. So Moshe Miller, the rabbi answered, you have to know where you're holding. You have to know where you're holding. I didn't understand this story until, I didn't understand exactly what he meant until Yitzchak Kaufman. He's a rabbi, he teaches at Mayonot. Told me a personal story about himself, that he was doing his kafia. He was starting out also in yeshiva, and he was learning about his kafia. And he said, why do I have to have coffee with sugar and milk? I have to have coffee because it wakes me up. I need it to wake me up.
Yeah.
Right? Some people, you need it to wake them up.
No.
He needed it to wake him up, so he has to have coffee. But why do I have to have it with sugar and milk? So he stopped having coffee with sugar and milk, and he started having black coffee. And it appears that it was apparent on his face, because one of the rabbis in the yeshiva said, what's going on? You don't look too happy. You look kind of miserable.
The opposite.
So, what?
Yeah, so he looked the opposite. I saw the
Yeah, kind of miserable.
sugar is not healthy.
Okay.
The opposite anyway. But it's the way Yitzchak Kaufman said this, and the rabbi came up to us, what's wrong? Something, man? So you know what? You look kind of miserable. Like, what's bothering you? So he told him the truth. He said, it's really hard for me that I'm not having the sugar and milk in my coffee. So the rabbi smiled, and he said, have sugar and milk in your coffee. That's not called iskafia. For you, that's not called iskafia. You have to know what you're holding. If the iskafia that you're doing is going to turn you into nishta mensch, the opposite of a mensch, then don't do it.
Right.
Okay? And this is also the way to go, is to go one step at a time. You always got to be going in the right direction. You always going up. It could be baby steps, but you got to be going in the right direction, because there's no middle ground. You're either going up or down, and you got to be a bal nefesh. You have to be the owner. You have to be the balabas of yourself, and know the truth. Know the truth. I said, maybe I can't do it right now, but one day maybe I can. How can I? Can I? I don't know. But think about it. Think about it and realize maybe this is not the best activity to be participating in. And sometimes people have to go cold turkey.
Have to go?
Cold turkey.
What is that?
Cold turkey means, let's say a person is involved in a taiva of Isser. Chas v'shalom, law later. They have a taiva to whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And you can't wean yourself off of that. You have to go cold turkey. You have to make a complete quick cut and just stop, right? And get like a drug addict, right? A drug addict that wants to quit. He doesn't lower his dose of heroin. At least I don't think so. No, they stop it immediately. Perhaps they give other things to prevent the rejection mechanisms, to make it a little easier. But he's got to quit it. He's got to say, that's it. I'm done with that. That's tshuva. That's tshuva. That's the first step of tshuva. Sormira, leaving the evil behavior. And then having charata about it. Maybe actually charata probably comes before. Why is a person going to stop doing it unless he feels bad that it's a bad thing? So first he has to have charata. He has to realize it's a bad thing. And then stop it. So that applies to Shalosh Klipas Tameas. Obviously, there's nothing to talk about, right? The Alter Rebbe came and said it also applies to Shklipas Noiga. And when he was being taken away by the Russians, because he was accused of treason, and he was being brought in the black carriage to the prison on the island, the Russian Alcatraz.
Oh.
So he asked his loyal chassid, Rav Shmuel Monkus, he said, should I go? Now, if he asked that question, here comes the Tsars. The Tsar was the king. And he sent the soldiers to hit the Alter Rebbe. And if the Alter Rebbe asked Shmuel Monkus, should he go? He probably could have not gone if he didn't want to. He probably had that power and ability. Otherwise, why would he ask him? Anyway, that's not the point of the story. He asked Rav Shmuel Munkus, should I go? So the point of the story is the Shmuel Munkus' answer. He said, you should go. And after he said, why? He said, because if you're a Rebbe, then you have nothing to worry about. You're a Rebbe. Kodesh Baruch Hu. Connected with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Nothing to worry about. And if you're not a Rebbe, you deserve it. Because who were you to come along and say that now that I'm eating this delicious piece of lox and bagel and I'm going, right, and I'm not eating of the same Shemayim, that I'm taking that koich and bringing it down to the Shalosh Klippos HaTameos. I have to do tshuva. I have to do tshuva for that. Who would you say that? That was what Shmuel Munkus said. The Alter Rebbe liked that answer. You know, there was a story once with, I forget who it was, these three guys, strong, burly guys, came to this town, and they wanted to go to the mikveh. They were frum guys. They wanted to go to the mikveh. And the mikveh was down at the bottom of the mountain, and the mountain was covered with ice. And they said, how do we get there? So they said, you have to go around. And I don't know why, as the person was telling them, they saw this little old man running down the mountain. They said, he's running down the mountain. He's not getting it. He's not falling. I said, oh, that's the Rebbe. Only the Rebbe runs down the mountain. Everyone else goes around. Don't run down the mountain. It's too dangerous. But they didn't listen. They said, he's like, I don't know, he's old. And he's weak. And we're young and strong. If he could do it, we could do it. And so they ran down the mountain, and they fell, and they broke their arms, they broke their legs. Whatever happened, they got injured. All of them got injured, got laid up in bed, and needed medical attention. Afterwards, when they recovered enough to be able to get around, they went to the Rebbe. And they asked the Rebbe, how are you able to do it? What's your secret? So the Rebbe said, he used his name. I forgot what his name. I think his name was Yisrael. But I'm not sure. He said, when Yisrael, this will say his name was Yisrael. When Yisrael is connected above, he doesn't fall down below. So we have to maintain our connection above. We have to constantly increase in our goodness, in our holiness, in our mitzvahs. And when we do that, we strengthen our bond. We reveal that bond that we have internally and essentially. Even Jews that aren't from have that bond, but they're not revealing it. Even though we know it, but we have that bond, we have to reveal it all the time. And the more we reveal it, the less we're attracted to the it becomes pasnished. You know what pasnished means? You know what pasnished?
Lokadai.
Lokadai. More than that, though, it becomes a behavior a behavior that's not applicable to me. Let's say you'd have a 2-year-old, right? And the 2-year-old, he gets off of diapers, goes to the potty, goes to the potty, and then he's wearing diapers at night, but then as he stops at night and he gets off of diapers, everyone claps and says, Shimala, oh, Shimala, how wonderful. You're off of diapers, you're wearing underwear. He's very proud, he feels great about himself, right? It's a big accomplishment, right? But let's say, Yigal finishes the commander's course in the army, right? And now it comes times to give out the tzalashim, the pins for honor. And they say, and Yigal, he's now off of diapers. What kind of compliment is that? The guy's 21 years old. That's not a compliment, right? That's an embarrassment. It's pasnish. That's pasnish. It's not applicable to me. Maybe when I was younger, it was applicable to me because I didn't know better. But now that I know better, it's not for me. And even if it's still, if a person hasn't had that already, epiphany, where it's not for me, and that's it, it's not for me. If a person has that revelation in themselves, this is not for me, and they make a real strong decision, they never go back to it. They never go back to it. They can just hold off because they realize who they are. And once they realize who they are, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is representative in this world, this isn't for me, right? I'm not going to degrade myself to do those kinds of acts because that's not for me. That's not what a Jew does. I want to bring Mashiach. I don't want to push away Mashiach. I want to increase light and awe and holiness. I don't want to increase tumah. So if a person's had that revelation within themselves, that's great. Then it's positive. But if a person hasn't had that revelation within themselves, right? In every area, right? That's the way we say Benoni. That's we're all Benoni. We're aspiring to be Benoni. We're all aspiring to keep our all our thoughts, speech, and deed should be for Hashem. That's our aspiration. We're working on it. It's a constant struggle till 120, right? We're not tzaddikim. Hillel was a tzaddik. So when Hillel went to eat, he said, you know what he said? He said, I'm doing a taiva for the aluva. I'm doing a kindness for the maidservant, the despised one. Hillel looked at his body as something other than him. That wasn't the real him. The real him was his godly soul. But us, the real us, is our animal soul in our body. And you know how it's true? 1 second, you know how it's true? You know it's true? Every morning we say, Elokai, Neshama, Shenasata Bi, Tohirahi. What? You know the translation? Elokai, my God, Neshama, Shenatata Bi, the soul which you have given, which you have put in me, is holy. What's in me? The soul, what's the me? From the lashon of that prayer, you see, the me is the animal soul. That's who we are, right? We have a godly soul. It's a struggle for us to reveal our godly soul and overpower our animal soul. We have to constantly be working on it. But the more you work on it, right? If you're really serious, those tigers don't become those tigers that you worked on in the past. They're not your challenges anymore. You've gone to a higher level. Now you have new challenges. You wanted to ask something?
What if one has a predilection, whether it's a drug addict or something else,
Yes.
and in that sense, watching a sporting event actually is occupying his time so he's not doing
I
that.
guess that would be a good thing for him.
We're going to get there.
I guess that would be a good thing for him, but it should be a stepping stone. It shouldn't be the end game, right? It should be, something I need to do now to get out of something else. But hopefully the person will get out of that something else, and then he doesn't need that anymore. We're always going to have challenges. Chazal said, the bigger a person becomes, the bigger his Yetzer Hara becomes. Because unless he becomes a tzaddik already, his choice is not between good and evil. A tzaddik is a different level. A tzaddik is just drawing down godliness, being good and better and best. Our choice is between good and evil could be even eating the chocolate cake when we don't eat it, and we don't have to have it. We know we can push it away too. And we're not going to be walking around like a sourpuss all day and barking at people.
The previous Rebbe was smoking.
Could be. But the doctors back then thought it was healthy. I don't know if the doctors thought it was healthy.
No.
People didn't know it was dangerous.
My uncle used to go to the Rebbe several times a year.
Yeah?
And he was sitting, and he was allowed to smoke.
Your uncle, in front of the Rebbe.
Yes.
Okay. Most people weren't.
Look, what I mean, not everything is, even if it is clip another, it's part of our life.
Okay, I agree with you. And no, we're not being judgmental on anybody.
Yes, but if we teach that whatever is not they're directed to God Himself, is something wrong in it.
The point of the story of Yitzchak Kaufman is that you have to serve Hashem with simcha.
Yes.
And if a person is in a situation where we're modifying his behavior past a certain point is going to cause him to be a growly, barking, not a mensch, then that type of iskafi is not, it's not serving Hashem. Hashem wants us to be in simcha. I believe that Hashem will have more favor on a person who's in simcha but indulges in tasty foods than a person who's growly and snappy because he's not allowed to eat these foods and he's pushing himself not to eat these foods. That's my personal feeling. I once saw Yitzchak Kaufman. Did anyone else want to ask something?
That guy might be a Litwaker.
Which guy?
The one you said he doesn't eat because he wants to be holy and holy.
Listen, I can tell you from personal experience, okay? I need to lose weight, okay? So I know what's good for me. I know that not eating sugar is good for me. Not eating sugar is good for me. But it's a difficult challenge for me not to eat sugar. But, Baruch Hashem, after I go, and I haven't had that epiphany in my, I think now I had the epiphany, okay? Because I got sick, and I said, I feel so terrible. I gotta get healthy. What do I need to do? One of the things I need to do is cut out sugar, cold turkey, because by me, I can't have one piece of chocolate. There are people, you have a chocolate bar, you have one piece. I can't have one piece of chocolate. I can't have a little piece of cake. There are people that have a little piece of cake. Can you have a little piece of cake? No. Can you have a little piece of cake? No.
Half a cake, maybe.
Half a cake, a little
I can have no cake.
No, I can have a little piece of cake several times.
You can have zero cake.
But if I have one,
Right. So I had to go cold turkey on sugar. And it's been 5 days. Okay? And it's much easier now. It's much easier
Wait,
now.
how much weight did you lose?
I didn't weigh myself. But I know I'm feeling a lot better, right? And I'm feeling I have more energy. I got over the cold pretty quickly, Baruch Hashem. And I know it's good for me. And it's probably good for everybody because sugar is, I don't know, it's probably
This is an American craziness.
that sugar is dangerous
Yeah,
and unhealthy.
yes, it's a craziness. There is a limit how much you take. But if you take a certain amount,
Maybe you're right.
it gives you energy.
Maybe you're right, but you can get that energy from whole grains. You can get that energy.
No. Sugar is something very special. And if you eliminate sugar at 100%, it's wrong. Even
You
if
can't eliminate it, oxygen. If you don't eat a whole grain bread, you're getting a lot of sugar.
You're
Just not getting it in a
even
big-
in the diets, they tell you at least once a week take some sugar.
No, I've been on something.
Okay.
I never said that. Okay, listen, you know what? It's not a nutrition
Okay.
class and a health class.
so
And-
on the cold turkey thing,
Yeah.
is it wrong to ask to remove my free will? What good does it do? I don't need free
Wrong
will.
to ask to remove your free will?
I don't need free will anymore. I'm 70 years old. Just put
To
me on
ask
the right-
HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you mean?
Yeah, just put me on the
You
right
ask him
path.
to help you. I don't know. What does that mean? Remove my free will. What does that mean? He's not going to remove your free. That's not a question he's going to do. He's not going to, because he wants you to have free will. It's against his run. You can ask him to help you in a certain challenge, to give you strength, right? Isn't Alcoholics Anonymous, right? That was started, and now there's all kinds of anonymouses that came after that, right? But they all have as part of their principles. I think there's 13 principles.
It's 12-step program.
What? 12?
12 steps.
Yeah.
12 steps. But as part of one of the 12 steps is that we ask of you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they all realize that they need a higher power to help them. Because down here, if you're stuck in the mud, you need someone else to pull you out. You can't get out of the quicksand on your own. So if that is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Rebbe, if Torah, right, the desire to really fulfill your mission, once you realize there's a mission in the world, that's a big thing, right? First you have to realize there's a mission in the world, and you're a player. You're not a spectator, you're a player, right? The game is going to come out based on how you play. If you realize that, it gives it a lot more, it gives a lot more importance, and it makes it more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Meaningful.
Meaningful, and it energizes, gives you more energy to do it. You feel a real energy and a desire to do that, right? And now you have a battle of desires, right? On one hand, you have this desire to bring godliness into the world. On the other hand, your animal soul says, let's waste our time in something meaningless, right? And your godly soul says, yeah, but I can use my time to learn Torah. I can use my time to call a friend. I can use my time. I can do a lot of other things in my. That becomes a challenge. That becomes the challenge. But as you become more and more focused on your mission, so the desire to waste your time in meaningless things, it becomes pasnish. It's each person's avoda on their level, like Rav Dessler said. Remember the story? I told you this a long time ago of Rav Eliyahu Dessler. He wrote the Sefer Michtav Eliyahu. He wasn't a chassan, but he wasn't a misnagid, and he was very, very close to the Frierdiker Rebbe.
Musar.
He was a Baal Musar, correct? And I have a friend that's kind of a misnagid, but he keeps it under the covers. He keeps it under the. He's kind of a misnagid, though. I mean, when I initially met him and I heard what came out of his mouth, he's got some pretty misnagdish attitudes. So when I mentioned something to him from Rav Dessler, he said, Rav Dessler is a chassid. he didn't want to hear from Rav Dessler because Rav Dessler, his mind was influenced by the Hasidic sect, by the cult. Chas v'sholom. It's just a joke. But anyway, Rav Dessler says,
Half joke.
Oh.
Okay. Mine was a joke.
What? Okay. Dessler says that there's the Nekudas HaBechira. There's a whole shiur about the Nekudat HaBechira. Every person has their point on the graph of where their Bechira is. One person's might be, should I keep Shabbos or not? Should I eat kosher or not? Another person's might be, should I learn Torah or do something else? Another person's might be, should I go out to eat at a restaurant, or should I eat at home and use the extra money to give stuff? Everyone's got the nekudas habechira, and then it goes into chinuch, the idea of educating the new generation, the children, the students. Is you can't tell people what to do, but you can influence them and guide them that when they become adults, their nekudat habechira is already on a higher level. They're already starting out on a higher level. So everyone's got the nekudas habechira. The main thing is the direction. Never get depressed. And that mashpia, he ate the chocolate cake, and he said he have to know where you hold it. So that was all. If he wouldn't have had that chocolate cake, he probably would have been very, very, who knows what he would have been, very upset. Okay. Anything else about this subject we're talking about? Go back to the Maamar. So when the world covers olam milashon helen, the world from the Hebrew word of olam, which comes from the root helen, of hiding godliness. That's why Hashem created this world that hides godliness, that we should reveal godliness, but it's a challenge. And so when the world does hide over godliness, and the expression of the nefesh elokis is the expression of the godly soul is thwarted, It's only the midos of the godly soul that are affected when a Jew does an avera. Jew can the folly. I didn't say it properly. Scratch that. Okay, reverse it. The folly, we say that a Jew doesn't commit a sin unless a spirit of folly enters him. That spirit of folly has the ability to confuse only the midos, to cover over, not to confuse, because the nefesh elokis is not confused. It's just covered over. It's just not able to express its power in the person. That spirit of folly has the ability only to cover over the emotional powers of the godly soul, but not the essence of the godly soul.
This is Rosh Tut.
Yes.
Rosh Tut.
Yes. The Hiniksiv, and it's written, Yaakov Chevel Nachalasa. Yaakov is the rope of his inheritance. These kashrus and Neshama Belukus, who Chevel Hashazim Italia Nimin. That the connection of the soul with godliness is metaphorically like a rope that is woven of 613 strands. The hachevel hu haneshama atzma, that the rope is the neshama itself. The nishmasu shel adam hu hachevel hamekasher velokus. That the neshama of a person, that's what connects him with godliness. Ulazais haneshama atzma, and this neshama is shazura mitayev nidin. And the neshama also has 613 strands. Ukadisa the Sefer Shulchan, like it's written in the Tanya, Perek Nun Aleph, the neshama klula mitayev koichos. And in the Tanya it says specifically that the neshama is made up of 613 powers. The Talmud Davar, and the reason for this is why the neshama is made up of 613 powers. Maamar Razal, that Chazal teaches in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Perek Dalet Mishnah Hey, chapter 4, Mishnah 5. Chayav Adam Loimar B'Shvili Nivra Olam. A person is required to say, "For me, the world was created."
Ve'ani ke'afar.
That's the continuation. V'ani kafa. Yeah.
You have two pockets. In one, Bishvili Nivra Olam. And in the second, Ve'ani ke'afar.
Right. You're right. You're right. Because Bishvili Nivra, although the previous Rebbe is going to give a completely different explanation of what we usually think this means. Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam. The world was created for me. The Pashut of Pshat, the straightforward explanation is just like it says. Hashem wants me in the world, and every person should look at it like the world was created for me. I have a mission, I have to fulfill it, and like the Rambam says, that one Maaseh Tov can tip the scales, the balance, that the whole world will now be judged in a favorable way and bring Mashiach. On the other hand, it could lead to arrogance because a person could think it's created for me and not for you. Every person is required to say it's created for me, right? Every person has. You have to give room to every person. Every person has that mission, and every person has their song to sing, the way they sing their song, the way they go through life. I don't want to become too metaphoric, but their life goes through a certain path. Each person is completely different. Each person is created by Hashem, and Hashem from each person meets the individual challenges, and Hashem wants each person to realize their potential, and Hashem has nachas. Like a parent has nachas for a child when the child starts to walk. And every time the child does a good thing, the parent has nachas, the Kodesh Baruch Hu has nachas for us. But like Yaakov Meir said, in order that there shouldn't be arrogance in the other pocket, you have to have money may offer. Money
ke'afar.
kafar, and I'm like dust.
Like Avram said.
Right? Like Avram Avinu said, ani kafar ve'efer. Right? I'm like dust and ashes. He was modest. He had humility. Humility is a wonderful feature. Where there's humility, there can be kedusha. Where there's not humility, there can't be any kedusha. There's no kedusha where there's no humility, because there's no room. like Rabbi Y. Jacobson says, ego means edge God out. There's no room. You like that? There's no room for a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And the Gemara says specifically, I and an arrogant person, we can't dwell together. How much water can you put in a cup that's half full? You can put some in. But if it's full, you can't put anything in. So first the person has to have offer. He has to be modest. He has to be humble and modest. But on the other hand, in the other pocket, he has to realize Hashem wants him. The world was created for me. I have a mission to do. I can tip the whole balance. But what does the Frierdiker Rebbe say? And I think with this, you're going to come to the close of the shiur. But we could continue a little bit more until the other rabbi comes. Bishvili nivra ha'olam, the olam hu lashon helen. Bishvili nivra ha'helen. For me was created the hiddenness. The kol will explain more why. The kol echav ve'echav chayav loima, the helen v'tzimtzum harishoin nivra b'shvili. Everyone is required to say that the hidingness that God did and does when he limited his revelation of himself in order to create worlds, and specifically this world which hides him almost completely. You have to dig. You have to. True, you can see harmony and beauty, and you can come to a recognition that there's a creator. But he's hidden in the world. So every Jew has to say that Hashem created this helen, this type of a hidingness for me. Bishvili nivra helen. Why? Bichdei levaroi lezachavti. In order that I should purify it and elevate. The Adam, that's a great. If anyone wants a short Dvar Torah, right? They could say, Chazal said, Bishvili nivra ha'olam. For me, the world was created, and give an explanation about that, like Yaakov may have said, but we have to also have another pocket. And I am like dust, we have to have humility. What does Chassidus say? Bishvili nivra ha'elem. Olami lashon ha'elem. The whole world, in the way it is, that it hides godliness, was created for me to reveal godliness in the world. And we have to do it. And God wants us to do it, and He's looking at us. And that's why He created us. He had us in His mind, and He created the world. For you and you and you and me. Each and every one of us, each and every Jew. You know the story of the Rabbi. We'll stop here, but I'll tell you a story if you don't, unless you say, you told me that so many times. You know the story of Avram the Malach, Avram the angel, the son of the Maggid of Mezrich?
From many generations, people oppose celebrations of birthdays.
Chabad
They said, let's celebrate and commemorate the anniversary of death, because when somebody is born, we don't know what he's going to turn out like. Maybe he's going to be alone. When he passes away, she passes away. Then we can say, what a special person. It was only in our generation, the late Lubavitcher Rebbe suggested that everybody begins to celebrate their birthdays. One of the reasons for this was the Rebbe saw that one of the plagues of our generation was people feeling deep down that they don't matter. Even if they were making money and they were successful and they were building successful lives, but deep down people have a sense of an internal sense of inadequacy, a void that really don't matter. You know that people have to understand that the day you were born is the day that God said that the world is incomplete without you. I need you. You are an indispensable note in the cosmic symphony.
Make me understand so much, friends.
That's very nice. So
I like the saying of Manis Friedman, connected with all what you say. Don't focus on your needs, focus on that you are needed.
Oh yeah.
It took me a long time to incorporate that.
Yes.
That saying, that simplicity took me a long time to really. But that's the point, no?
But he said it probably in the name of the Alter Rebbe, because the Alter Rebbe said that to the one.
I'm not on that level. But, that's YouTube. That's YouTube and the Manis Friedman. No? I like that saying very much.
Very good.
He told us many people they are like whatever. But to give them the message, Hashem created you for a purpose. You are needed. You are needed.
That's right.
That's beautiful, but he says it in simple language.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So the young son of the Maggid of Mezrich came crying to his father.
Yeah.
This was at least 300 years ago. They were playing hide and seek. It's an old game. And maybe 275 years ago. And you know the story. You know the story.
No, I
No.
Okay.
Go on.
They were playing hide and seek.
Yeah.
And the way the game goes is everyone hides in a place. They think it's a great spot and you're not going to be able to find me. And the person who's it is supposed to look for everyone and find them. And they're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. No one's coming. What'd the guy do? He went home. He played a trick on them. He went home. And they're waiting and waiting and waiting until they realized he played a trick on us and he came home crying. So his father started crying. And then his father, the Maggid of Midrash, stopped crying. And he said, I was crying because it's the same way by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world. He hid himself in this world, right? And he wants each of us to find him, to go out and search him and find him and reveal him. But there's so many people that just, they eat their toast, and they drink their juice, they're busy, they read the newspaper. They're not interested. So they was crying.
They're not interested in
God.
God.
Yeah, that was back then. Now, challenges are even harder. It's hard. It's hard. Hard challenges these days. Right? There's a lot of assimilation. But we who know the truth, now we are empowered to be able to reach those people and to empower them. When I was first on the derech of Yiddishkeit, so I was by the house of a certain person, and I wasn't a Chabad chassid, but I was talking about the importance of teaching people, going out and influencing people, because that's what I learned. So he said, first, you don't go out. He said, first, you sit in yeshiva for a long time. You fill your stomach with Torah. You get knowledgeable, and then once you're very, very knowledgeable, then you go out. Then you go out and you teach. So I asked my rabbi, I said, what do you think of that? And he said, if you know an aleph, you teach an aleph. If you know a beis, you teach a beis. You don't have to wait till you know everything to start teaching everything. Whatever you know, you teach.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you...
No, but what happens if they're not interested in hearing?
If the person that you want to teach is not interested,
No.
offer a piece of cake. Invite them over for a Shabbos meal. Maybe they'll like a nigun. Maybe they'll like one of the Shabbos miros.
Mm-hmm.
You never know how a person, you reach a person.
No.
About hide and seek,
Yeah,
what we have just heard.
yeah.
Nobody's looking for him.
I didn't say nobody, but
No, well, somebody's not looking at him.
there are people, Rabbi, still knows.
What about the contrary?
Yeah, the people who are.
People who are seeking,
Yeah.
but he is hiding.
Yeah, but he's not really hiding. He wants you to find him and reveal him. He's right here. He's in the Torah. He's in every mitzvah. He's in every kindness you do.
Yesterday I was in the synagogue to make the prayer. It's a tiny little synagogue. There's almost no space for a minyan.
Where? Which synagogue?
It's Yavne.
Okay.
And
Where's this at?
whatever, it's in the center. But the story is like that. Suddenly I see a boy coming in, a young boy, didn't find a place.
Yeah.
So there was a place between you and me. And I called him to come in. So he started to put on filling. Metal here, and metal there, and all of that.
That's right.
A young boy, and I said,
That's right.
why is it so confused? But he put on filling.
That's right.
Then he asked me for a Sidur.
You did.
And he started to search. We are almost in Shema Israel.
Right.
And he didn't find it. And he always, can you help me? So I showed him the Shema Israel.
He felt
Whatever he did.
He felt
And I said, Hashem has a mysterious ways to,
This is
to
the
change
way.
people. Huh?
There was a guy, not even a Jewish guy, he wrote a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I forget his name.
Yeah. Remember that? Years ago. That was like 60 years ago.
More than 60 years.
Oh, yeah.
What's his
Yeah.
name?
Can't remember. All right, I'll come up in 10 minutes here. You know,
Anyway, he tells a story in that
Not a
book.
Jewish guy.
Non-Jewish guy.
made a lot of money with that.
Yeah, a smart guy though.
Yeah.
He made a lot of money and he gave a lot of, that book was very, very popular book.
Yeah, yeah.
The story there, tells a story there that the sun and the wind,
Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie, that's right. There was a story,
Microsoft LeBron.
there was an argument between the sun and the wind, who's stronger?
The sun and
And the wind.
the wind. Oh.
The wind, so they saw a guy walking with a jacket. So they said, whoever can get this guy to take off his jacket, he's the stronger one. So the wind said, all right, I'll go first. And the wind started blowing.
No, then you don't take off the jacket. You need a jacket for the wind.
And the wind started blowing. He wanted to blow the jacket right off the guy's arms. But the more the wind started blowing, the more the guy held his
Yeah,
jacket.
you hold the jacket, yeah.
Until the wind said, I can't get him to take off the jacket. And the sun said, my turn. And it just started shining and radiating warmth. And the guy just took out his jacket and remained with it. The sun didn't need to do any actual effort to struggle with the guy. It was warm, you take off your jacket. The point of the story is that warmth is what attracts people. If people aren't interested, there's some blockage. Because a Jew, his essence is interested, but there's blockage. He grew up amongst non-Jews. He eating non-kosher food, like they said, eating certain foods clog the arteries, right? And you should eat them, So eating non-kosher food clogs the soul channels. The channels of
But if they're so into liberalism and all this stuff, it's
probably a lot to do with the tray food,
food,
the tray food, the tray ideas. Yeah,
progressive.
regressive. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Pleasure to see you. See you next week, Bezrat Hashem.
All right, we'll try.
So, well, that's it.